You're with the accounting, business coaching type area, and myself, as far as the working capital and funding goes, we've managed to achieve some great outcomes for clients. And the first one that comes to mind is the SaaS business. That's software as a service. Perhaps if you can just give a summation of what the challenges were there.
Yeah, the challenges, and the opportunities for this software development business was that, they do have a good revenue stream, some great clients that pay them handsomely, really, for their software solution, which is quite bespoke and industry specific. So there's some quite good guardrails in the business, and they've got long-standing sticky clients. The problem for them was tech is an ever-changing landscape, and, I'll be the first one to mention the two letters that are the tip of everyone's tongue, which is AI, but it's really affected their business big time, but really in a positive way, because they had issues in that they had a code base that needed an overhaul and was causing a lot of maintenance tickets and problems for their users, and they needed a way to transition away and improve their cost base. So they needed to have some investment in tech resources in order to do that. But after that investment, they then had to look to downsize that in order to become a profitable business again, and not one that relied on the next sale. Like there's big implementation fees to be made, and they were sort of relying on that to pay the bills rather than their monthly SLA fees. So we had to re-engineer the business to reduce that reliance on implementation fees and make sure they were profitable on a month-to-month, ARR basis, average recurring revenue. And that did require some plugging of the gaps with some finance in the short term, in order to invest what was needed to be invested to increase the profitability and boost the usability of their platform using AI. And that's basically where I think we had a very nice lunch in an Italian restaurant, and you met the founder, and which I think is also an important part of it, being able to click with the client. And that's something that I appreciate when we deal with clients, that it's not just a transaction. You're sort of understanding their business and getting to know them as people, which helped a lot.
Yeah, and particularly in that case, it was a technology change, and it was about AI and how that's changing how a coding business or a IT development type business works. And one of the challenges is that unfortunately, traditional financial institutions don't really understand that rearrange things in a business and to reduce your headcount. When the business has been established a long time, there are some pretty heavy costs associated with that. And if you're going to reduce your team from 10 to 5 because AI will fill the gap, the problem is how can I afford to get rid of the 5 people that have mainly been here 8-10 years that have some pretty big obligations that you need to pay out. And I think that's where we had to use multiple sources of funding to achieve that. But the outcomes have been put in place now, and the business is looking at a strong financial future.
That's right. If you look at where we were probably when we first started talking, and there was a significant gap between that monthly recurring revenue and their cost base, which we identified and had to restructure the resourcing to where they are now. They've pulled significant costs out of the business to the point that our goal was always 1 July to be cash flow neutral and profitable, and we've been able to hit that goal while meeting our obligations, which was challenging. But we did need to, get some short-term finance in order to make that happen. And then the other, challenge was, obviously going down the investment capital route would be the preferred option. But while you're still, struggling in the restructuring phase of your business, investors are reluctant to invest. So we needed to use some financing strategies in order to execute the restructure. But now we're in a much better position to attract investment, because the investors are seeing that their money's being used for further development and not to plug holes and losses and fund the restructure.
It's important that the business is moving forward that way and making it more attractive to investors, because investor capital can be somewhat cheaper than short-term money, but you have to go down the short-term money path, the unsecured loans to initially put things into a buoyant state where the business becomes attractive.
That's right. And obviously, a business that doesn't have a lot of assets or capex, it's not doing asset finance, so it's all really cash flow, makes things more challenging, which is where these solutions worked out well.
Money always arrives late, is rule one, and the second is we only lend money to people who don't really need it. So the idea is to look at your liquidity and borrowing before tight times, or until when you're in better shape, so that you can maneuver your way through.